Today I'm going to talk about Singaporeans' favorite topic, property investment, and share with you the pros and cons of investing in properties in Singapore. One of the best features I would say of property is that you can leverage quite a lot on your capital because property is an asset that can be a collateral for banks. So if your property is $1 million, you can borrow 75% of it, meaning to say you only need $250,000 plus some stamp duties as well as lawyer fees. You can check out my other video on the cost breakdown of buying a condo. And let's say your condo appreciates by 10%, you can sell it for $1.1 million, and then you pay off the bank loan of about $750,000. You have $350,000 on a capital of about $275,000. So your profit is $75,000 on a capital of about $275,000, which makes it almost a 30% increase in 3 years. Hi, is your name Mike? If not, drop me a like. Thanks. Of course, leverage works both ways, and if you make a loss on your property, the amount of loss will be quite a high percentage of your initial capital. But that brings me to my next point, which is property investment in Singapore tends to be relatively safe and stable. Given the land scarce nature of Singapore as well as our increasing population, we can see that property has gone one direction in the past couple of decades or so, and that is up. Now, of course, there are periods of time where property prices do not keep going up, as we can see from this period where prices actually went down and stayed down for a few years. But as you can see, the overall trend of the market in Singapore is that property prices tends upwards. Now, of course, whether or not property gives you safe and reliable returns depends on who you ask. If you ask a property agent, I think the answer will definitely be yes. But if you ask people who are trying to sell you investments, then I think they will tell you property is saturated, the growth will not be as good. And there are some people who are super bearish on property, and they will tell you that the property market is going to crash in Singapore eventually. Personally speaking, I'm more of a middle ground opinion where I think that property will continue to increase, but not at the rate it has for the past couple of decades or so. And I think you will largely expect to get back at least your capital plus a little bit of hedge against inflation if you can hold your property for at least 5 to 10 years. Another big advantage relatively unique to property is that it has utility. When you buy a condo, for example, you can live in it, and therefore it has provided you with some use, whereas most other investments does not come with the same utility. Some might even think that the non-tangible benefits such as the pride and satisfaction from owning a property is something that can be attached to the price tag as well. And yeah, well, you see people do home tours of their apartments, right? Wink. And of course, if you have no need or desire to stay in that property, you can always rent it out for rental income. Of course, renting out your property has its own fair share of problems. You may encounter bad tenants. You may also encounter periods where you do not successfully rent out the property, and also you have to pay for maintenance costs and things like that. Weibo has this insane deal where you get 5 free shares for free, and all you have to do is just fund any amount at all, and you can walk away with 5 free shares. All you have to do is sign up with this link, fund in any amount, maintain it for 30 days, and you will get 5 free shares worth up to 500 USD. What's more, you also get a trading app that offers you 0 commission, 0 platform fee, 0 settlement fee, and you can trade from as low as $5 per trade, and you also support this channel. So thank you for signing up, and thank you Weibo for sponsoring this video and bringing us this excellent deal. And one more advantage I can think of for property investment in Singapore is that it is, I think, the only instrument that lets you invest using your CPF OA and then cash out profits in cash. I've actually explored this topic before in an older video, so check that out if you want to know more about accrued interest and how it actually allows you to take cash out from your CPF OA investment. As with most things in life, there are always pros and cons, and one of the biggest downsides to property investment is that high capital outlay is required and there are usually a lot of fees. Now, over the past years, the price of admission to owning a property has been increasing tremendously, in part because of the rising prices of property and also due to the various cooling measures such as TDSR, where you can only loan maximum of 55% of your gross monthly income, as well as things like loan to value limit, where you can only loan up to 75% of the total property price. Let's not forget also the various fees that you have to pay. Even as a first-time buyer, you have stamp duties, and for $1 million property, that's about $25,000. And you have agent fees to pay for, you have insurance to purchase, you have a lot of fees, including maintenance costs and stuff like that. So in order for you to buy a $1 million condo, you will need almost $300,000, which of course is a relatively high barrier of entry for most younger working adults. I have a previous video on how you can reach your condo within 8 years, so check that out if you're interested on some ways to get there. But of course, spoiler alert, you just need to try to increase your income and try to save more of it in order for you to save up for your condo. And by the way, as you are doing that, property prices may also increase. New cooling measures may also come in play, and that was what I experienced when I was saving up for a condo last time. And that brings us to the next downside of property, which is the policy risk that investing in properties entail, because policy changes all the time and the government will always tweak cooling measures and stuff like that according to the property market. So when property prices go up, government steps in to try to cool it down. And as an investment class, you do not want your government to come in and suppress the prices of your property. Housing in Singapore has been and probably will always be a very contentious political issue. So there is a imperative for the government to come in to curb growing prices, and therefore that might put a downer on your investment appreciation. Personally, I feel that this policy risk is going to be a lot more unpredictable given the state of our politics these days, and I feel that a change of government might happen in the not too distant future. So who knows what could happen then. One more major downside of property investment is that it is highly illiquid. If you want to sell a property investment, it can take months for you to find a buyer. And that is obviously a very bad thing if you need the money urgently for whatever reason. You need to deal with property agents, you need to deal with prospective buyers who may or may not waste your time. And yeah, it's just a lot of fuss in a day where, most things we can just click a button and sell our investments, right? Property is just going to be very inconvenient to sell. There are also many rules that have you hold your property for a certain period of time. If you buy a HDB, there's a minimum occupation period. And if you buy a condo, there's also seller stamp duty, which is applicable for the first 3 years of your ownership of that condo. Speaking of which, I have passed the first 3 years where seller stamp duty is applicable, and therefore I no longer have to pay seller stamp duty when I sell my property. And also, I'm intending to sell off my condo. So if any of you are interested, okay, I think now I have to make a sort of like property limb brother kind of video where I show my house and then talk about the investment potential and stuff like that. Okay, anyway, yeah, I have this feeling of selling off my condo. Hit me out if you're interested, even though you hardly have any details. Okay, check out my home tour for a look at that place. I will decide whether or not I want to release more details about my current apartment when my plans to sell are more firmed up. But do drop me offers if you want to buy the site unseen. I intend to do a follow-up video on alternatives to property investments, so subscribe to my YouTube as well as Telegram group if you are interested in such things. Also, tap this for my property buying journey as well as this video, which YouTube thinks you really enjoy, and I'll see you in those videos.